I'm going to share my whole screen, and I verified that all things inappropriate have been deleted, or at least well hidden. Can I do this? Whole screen. I just want my whole screen. I think. Yeah, I think that's the one. So can you see my screen, my like outer space and all my icons?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So I'm just gonna go through my methodology on how I do CMAs. And so we're gonna start from scratch. Pretty much at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a whole bunch of files. These are things that I use on a regular basis. My little cheat sheets down here in Excel for cap analysis, my investment worksheet, and my CMA calculator. Oh, this is great. And this is where we're gonna start. So I got a property I want to look at. I'm going to do comps on it, and this is where I start. So I'm going to just take you right through my own methodology. I went ahead and I punched in a couple of things ahead of time. This is where the customer name would be. Here's today's date. Here's the address of the property we're going to look at. Brief description: single family home, 3-2. Nothing special about this one. Sometimes there is. Might have a pool, might not, whatever you want to note for yourself. Other noteworthy, this particular home happens to have a short sale on it. So that means we can offer a lot less. And when I went in, and we'll go through the public records, I'll show you where all these numbers come from. So this is where I start. That's my little cheat sheet. And we're going to go here and we're going to fill in all of this stuff here. So let's pull up, because wherever we want to start, block him and go into Stellar. One of the first things I do while that's coming up, and we do have the address here, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I go to Zillow. Yes, I go to Zillow. Oh my God, Alan, why do you go to Zillow? Somebody asked, Alan, you're a real estate agent. Why on God's green earth would you go to Zillow? You know why I go to Zillow? Because everybody else does. And you want to know what your customer knows. So when your customer says, well, this estimate on Zillow was, and you rattle the number off, you go, yeah, I know, it's like $330,000 for Zillow. You can get them right off the top. When you're presenting your comparisons, you can let them know. This is what Zillow presents. 331 and change. So I go in here and I say, oh, here's Zillow estimate, and I put it in my my average column. So I put the 331 in there. Boom. So I recorded Zillow. Okay, Zillow. I will tell you, and I'm doing this kind of on the fly. When you go back and you go into Zillow, and if you're doing let's say you're doing some investigation for a customer who hasn't listed their house yet, it's a good idea not to put in their address. So I happen to know that, you can put in an address, a neighborhood, a city, or city. You can actually put in the neighborhood. This is like Greenhorn Path. St. Cloud, and you can pull up the street, and then you can see all the houses, and you can map out the house on something like Google Maps or Apple, whatever iMap you use. And then so you can actually zero in on their home. This. So, and then you can zero in on the home and then pull up. You can actually see where it's laid out for the value of the particular homes. And that way you're not cluing anybody in. You don't want your potential clients to be getting phone calls from somebody going, hey, are you interested in selling your home? You don't want to do that. So you want to be able to zero in on your customer's home by being able to zero in on that, on the street or the neighborhood, and it will give you this, right? all up and down the street. I didn't zero in on a particular house. I'm just showing this as an example, but this is where you would get your information from without giving away the fact that this particular individual might be interested in selling their home. Because let's face it, Zillow, they make their money from us. So they're going to go out, reach out and sell them to some other realtor. We don't want that. All right, so we got our Zillow information. Back here, I'm going to go right down my list. So a lot of times I'll start with RPR. We've kind of already been there on this particular home. And you'll have to bear with me. My my computer will run a little bit slower since I'm zooming and recording. But I go here under recent searches and Greenhorn. Oh, there it is. Because I just happened to look it up earlier because I actually did a comp on the place. So here it is. Here's all the wonderful information. So I want to start here. I'm going to go into the tax map, and this is really kind of cool. So I am recording this, but I would get your notepads out, maybe take some screenshots if you want to do this, but you'll have it anyway. One of the things I do when I'm doing comps for a potential listing, and I do this for buyers too, because it's helpful to know the situation you're going into. Here's a particular short sale. And by the information here under the sales information block, it's telling me that in 2016, they took out a $300,000 loan. And in this particular instance, it's even letting me know the terms, which is really cool. You don't always get that. In addition, in 2016, so this was what, 2006, in 2016, they took out another, and it lets you know here, it's a subordinate, right? So now they have a subordinate loan. They have an initial home equity line of credit, $300,000, and they have a subordinate loan here. So you can look at that and go, all right, so they've borrowed $340-something thousand against the house. Well, what do they owe now? This is really cool, and I use this a lot. Matter of fact, I use it so much, I keep it in my favorites. So under here, my finance bar, here I've got all of the things I use for financials, including, oh, look at my seller's net sheet, stuff like that. That's my bank account. You're not going to see that. Down here, amortization schedule. This is really cool. So I can plug in the loan type. It's a mortgage. The loan amount, in this case, happens to be $300,000. The term was 30 years. And what was that again? It was 30 years at 6.71%. So 6.71%, calculate. Now, okay, now this is really cool. Here's my amortization schedule. However, the loan was taken out in
1991.
2006, right here. Right? Here's the loan mortgage right here, 2006. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say, well, this was actually done in, August, right? So it's going to be actually August 2006. And I'm going to calculate. Now what I've got is a full amortization schedule, and I can go down to my date, which is 2020, right here, October 2021. 2020. Boom. So it's telling me that they owe roughly $225,000 on that. So I pull up my spreadsheet, and I'm going to put in up here 225. And then I would do the same thing for the other loan. So let me just make sure I got that right. So 2006, August 2006, 300,000. And that's up here, August 2006, 300,000. Okay. And then the other loan was for 42,000. I'm estimating it would be amortized for 30 years, but the percentage on that was 4.03. And that was taken out in December 2016. So they owe, if they did everything right and we estimated right, about 38,000. There you go. All right. So that's cool. So this lets us know that if we tally these up, that and that, they owe roughly here 263,000 is basically what they owe in the home. So they're short selling it, right? So somehow or another, they're not able to pay this back, or something terrible has happened. Another tool I want to show you, because they don't always give you the terms. Sometimes they'll just tell you it was, 360 months, or you'll just have to assume it was a 30-year loan. So a lot of times what I'll do here is I'll go in, and this is the national monthly average mortgage rates. So in this particular loan, if they didn't give me the value, if they didn't give me the value of this, I would go to August 2006. So I would pick 2006 here. It gives you a whole range. And then I would just say, well, okay, I usually use this table. And to say in August, the 1-year, 30-year FRM fixed rate mortgage was about 6.5%. And then I would use that to calculate and give me a rough estimate. So now you have this website that gives you calculation estimates on what the interest rates were on that given year, on that given month. And so you can actually helps you with those calculations. It's kind of good to know when. So when you're talking to your listing, right, or potential. So I estimate you owe what, roughly, what do we come up with? Roughly 260,000, give or take. And they'll look at you and go, yeah, how'd you know? Or they'll say, well, yeah, 264 and change, or 261. And so they're like, oh, they'll give you the exact amount. Hopefully they know. But if they don't, they're like, oh, yeah, it might be close to that, and that gives you your estimates. Then when you're doing your net sheets, now you know at least what you have to cover, right? So that gives you that. All right. So we go into as I'm filling this out, one of the things we've already covered in our matrix. I'll go back to you later. I'm going to close that. So when we go back to our matrix, we go into the RPR. A lot of times what I do is I fill in the RVM, and I like this up here. It says deep thinking. It's good to know. The RVM on this is 322,740. So I actually will put in RPR RVM 332,740. Now here's your range. So 302,794 is at the bottom end. 302,794. And then the top end is right here, 362,686. 362,686. And this one actually has 5 of 5 stars, so that's noteworthy. Okay. We also note that this particular home is listed at 339, and I did my own comp analysis. It came up at 300. The house happens to be in pretty rough shape. So here I do my comp, and I had 300, 661. And I would also put in my high and low as well. Hello. So it is my understanding, while we're waiting for this to churn, it's my understanding that they're installing fiber down the street, up and down Lee Road. So we have spoken to the landlord and they have agreed to get us hooked up. So we'll be able to accelerate some of this. Get fiber in here, that would be wonderful. Oh, look. All right, you know what? I don't want to spend too much time on RVM. Basically, I want to say it was, I think that was the low. It was 2 something to, I know we've done RVMs before. I don't want to spend too much time on that. We'll go back to that. Let's go here to realist property detail, not the map, go to the detail. Realist is one of those tools where it's kind of like gives you an RVM. They have what's called a Realist AVM. So you'll see a lot of the same information in here. You see loan details. Here's tax information. So by the tax information, they actually will take into account if a property's been improved or not. So if somebody takes out a lot of, what's the term? Yeah.
Permits?
I'm blank right here. If they do improvements and they have to register with the county they're doing the improvements, this takes that into account. Assessments, characteristics, features. Here we go. Down here. Here is our real AVM. It's its own calculations. So the real AVM is 337. With a low of 306,670. And a high of 367,330. And we've got a confidence score of 82, which is actually pretty darn good. All right. So that's that set of numbers. What else do we have here? IMAP. Okay, we'll get back into IMAP. Did I close that one out? I did. So let's go back into IMAP. So those are 2 different ones right there, right? So we've got, I already shown you guys, most of you guys know how to use the RPR. And Realist is just, you know, it's just click of a button. It comes up with all that information. You just record it. There is no Realist where you go in, you can do your own comps with Realist, so that doesn't have that. Here, your IMAP comp stats. IMAP has its own. When you look here at IMAP, you go up here to comparable properties. Boom. Pull that up. You come down here. Right now, everything is zeroed out. So you want to do your lot size. Looks like they're all the same basic lot size. Living area, plus or minus 10%. Let's keep the location. Let's keep it within a mile. Sold. Here's your time frame. Last sold. Year built, if you want, plus or minus 1 bathrooms. It's not waterfront or property. You can ignore or not ignore stories. Let me just see real quick. Yeah, has a garage, so we'll go ahead and leave that. Not aware that it has a pool. Ooh. Yeah, no pool. All right. Ignore pool and use best sales. Use update criteria. Oh. Wow, 1. So let's do last 2 years and let's stretch it out to 2 miles. See what we get. So it gives us a few more comps. Basically, here's what our range would be for these particular comps. Let me see if I can. I'm going to knock that back down. And you can actually play with these all you want. You're not going to ruin anything if you do that. So yeah, so not a lot of movement here in the okay, 2 miles. Oh, last 2 years. Not a lot of movement. Some areas, I don't know if you've ever had an area like that just wasn't a lot of movement. So here's your comps. Here's your high, your low, and your average. And this one actually gives you a median too. So now we have our high of 325. We have our median, our average. So we're an average of 250. And we have a median, a low of 190. And we have a median of 235. Okay. We also have these values over here based on value ratio and based on price per square foot. So 183, 100. Uh, 225, 800. And 317, 900. And then our price per square foot, 183. Is it the same? Oh, value ratio, 194, 800. $238,300. 225,800. You got to make sure I'm copying from the right one. So value ratio is 225,800. Square foot was 238,300. And 217. So that was the square foot was 301,700. And 317,900. Okay, so that's yet another set of comps that we've got. All these numbers really start to accumulate, and normally I would have this in here. So these are different resources now that we've looked to get numbers for the homes, right?
Hi, how are you? Yes, hi, honey. How are you? Yeah.
All right. So next up, these are our market conditions. These will actually come from our market conditions report. So if you go up here to market conditions, MC, and you guys looked at these before too, but I've never pulled the numbers with you. We've just kind of looked at days on market, things of that sort. But this is where I fill in these other numbers. So here, when you look at comparable sales for this particular home, and it's telling you that overall, and Yogini, this is kind of a cool tool to use when you're talking to an investor to say, look, the overall trend in this particular area for these homes is increasing, right? So absorption rates are increasing, comparable active listings are increasing. When you get down here for your investors, prices are stable, days on the market are declining. That's a good sign. So these are the things you want to look at, especially if things are increasing with prices. So here, for this particular home and homes like it in the area, I take these numbers straight. I don't play with it, just as they are. So we've got median comparable sales price. So here I've got list and sold. So here's our list price, $268,952 for the last 7 to 12 months. And these are all, by the way, these are all medians. So those go here to list, 268,952 list. 268,952. 267,630. 267,630. And the last 0 to 3 months, 264,095. 264,095. All right, and then actual sold. Sorry, I did it again. List 268,952, 267,630, and 275. Sorry, 275. And then let me see. And then 253.9. 259.9. And 264.95. All right. Now, you're going to look at this table here. And you're going to say, geez, Alan, okay, I got all these numbers. Now what? So, which is really important when I do my own comps. So I'm going to actually, I want to pull that up again and see if I can't get my numbers to come up. Because I use these numbers to compare against what I find personally, because I don't like to leave it up to the computers or whatever algorithm that particular tool is using to determine how I want to price a house. When I want to talk intelligently, I don't want to say, oh, our realist RVM came up with this price range, because that's no different from saying Zillow's estimate came up with this price range, right? So I always do my own comps, and I use those and I look at the numbers around them to see if it's kind of a sanity check, if you will. I'm just hoping this thing will come up this time. While we're waiting for this, does anybody have any questions?
So you present this to the client?
No.
Okay.
No. What I present to the client is just what we went over when we do listing. It's that.
Right. Okay.
Right. Here's my comps. I just make sure my comps are in line, and I use these other numbers as a sanity check to say, okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Here's well, that's, geez, well, this is still waiting. Here's the process. So I actually delivered this as an email on a particular, this was not this home. These numbers don't match this home. This was a home that I did comps on. And I did present this chart. There's a cut and paste. I presented this chart to, it was an appraiser, and I forget how long ago. It was one of my first homes. And so they came in low, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. So this is what I did. And this was, I actually kept it because sometimes I use the same verbiage.
Right.
But here's the address I was working with. And I just mentioned that these are the tools at our disposal, that we don't haphazardly try to price houses, and, you know, we try to go in and educated. So when I presented these, I presented an explanation of what those numbers represented. And the numbers that were represented here, MC, so all of these here, market conditions report, that looks at list prices and sold prices in addition to days on the market and other criteria. It's right there. It looks to determine medians of comparable homes in the surrounding area. The tool also helps determine market stability and notes ascending or descending trends. A Zillow estimate was not available for this property, and I made note of that. I use Zillow simply because most of the public does, and to simply stay informed on what the public is educating themselves with. Realist and RPR are two additional tools that calculate home values based on prevailing data. And IMAP is another resource that tracks tax data and improvements on properties that might increase or decrease, that might increase the value of a property, as well as quick claims that may not take into account true property values at all. And then I explained my own particular comps that I used in that. And then this was my closing statement. So I actually kept that verbiage because I've actually had to reuse this on other occasions. So yeah, I actually on one occasion I presented the whole chart. Here's my train of thought. This is where we came in. And I believe I think she had come in at like 113,000 and I needed 118 in order for everything to go through smoothly. And I bought the extra $5,000. She came up. And so that worked out really well. This is
Alan, I have a question.
So just a second. So I'm obviously having problems with whatever RPR is not dealing with today. But all of you are familiar with RPR, and generally I would have a minimum in here and a maximum. And my choice when I go to price a home would usually be somewhere between these two. This would be my low for a sale. For a purchase, it might be this, right? So I choose my numbers on how I want them to be. And I'm looking at this going, well, you know, if I decide I want this range to be a good range, is this actually making sense with the other numbers? Am I in line? Well, these numbers, I would have to do more digging to find out why those numbers are so low. And they may actually be in line with this particular here. But in using these other numbers, I can see that, you know what, this really isn't too bad. And the actual list price on this is 339,000. So I would put this in the 300 to 350 range. And I believe that's what it was for this. 300 to 350,000 roughly. And so this would let me know that, you know, kind of a sanity check. With the comps, you know, when you're doing comps, you do solds, but you also want to know what is actually active in the market, because for your purposes, that's your competition. So you want to make sure you're kind of in line with the other similar homes in that area, what they're going for. And then, of course, if you want to price on the lower end, you'll help yourself get a quicker sale as opposed to going up at the higher end. Most people want to start out high, so I'm very careful when I'm presenting a range that I don't present something too high and they go, oh yeah, let's do that. And you realize it's going to sit on the market for 3 months before you get any activity. Anyway, these are just the different resources that you can get comparables from. And that's really what this demonstration is about. You know, Zillow puts us out there, and you want to know that, you know, where are we at with Zillow, because everybody's going to check, well, I checked the value of my home on Zillow. It said it was. I will tell you, Zillow could be off as much as 20 to 30% in some instances. So you want to educate your customer with that. Let them know too what Zillow is all about. Zillow is a great tool to get started. But when you tell your customer that Zillow is in the business, they offer all this free, it's not really, because real estate agents are paying for that information, especially if you have a buyer that's using that tool. Let them know, give them your own search tools and let them know, use this one, you won't get harassed by anybody. So educate them on what Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, what they're all about. They're all about selling your information to realtors like me. Just be aware of that.
Just to comment on that, I know a property that sold off the MLS on Zillow, and it's on Zillow, and Zillow shows that it sold for $3.2 million because when they punched the numbers in, they added an extra zero on accident. So that whole neighborhood Now the estimates are off the chart because all the houses sold 3 to 350, and this one shows that it sold for 3.2 million. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And then I reported it to Zillow, just, because I said, hey, you should check this out. It's wrong. And it's still like that after like a month.
Oh, yeah.
But
They're
I'm
not,
like, yeah.
that's a great story to tell your customers. That's a great story.
Yeah.
You know,
And it probably, if I look it up right now and I send it to you, you'll see it's $3.25 million.
oh, I got customers send me listings now. It's like they continue, even though I've told them they still use Zillow. So I pull the property, it's pending or it's sold, but
Yeah.
it's active in Zillow because they don't update it regularly and they don't care. They just want your information and that's it. So, so between these and go into the market conditions when you
Oh,
go
look,
in.
I'm looking at it now. They fixed it. It's sold for 263, I think. Yeah, they changed it. No, they actually took out the last sale.
Oh, okay. They
Yeah.
took the whole sale out altogether.
Yeah, it went to the
Right.
previous one.
Which now it's lower than it should be, right?
Yeah, now it's 263 because it sold before that. And then I
Yeah.
don't know what must have happened here. I was like, wow.
Well, at least they're trying.
Yeah.
Very trying. When you go into your realist property data, there are things that you can do to kind of hone in. And in the training video I did just on realist, I'm sorry, I meant market conditions. You can actually edit. So when it does a market conditions report on your home, it's it's very generic. It's everything that's sold in that area. So when you're looking at this particular home, if you want to look at search criteria, you can actually edit. You can go in and say, you know what, I want something more closer to what I'm doing. So I just want single family residence. And you can do it in that subdivision. Or you can do it, zip by the zip code or whatever, or you can set your radius to, I just want it within a couple of miles. And then, county if you want. So you can play with these, but sometimes you'll play with them too much, you'll get nothing, right? And so you can play with them and just kind of get a better feel for the numbers that the market conditions report will give you. And it's really kind of a handy tool. This little sheet, you can print it out. You can include it so that you can show them that, look, over the last 3 months, yeah, see, now we're getting a little bit better numbers, right? Over the last 3 months, we see that homes sold at 98% of their list price. Median days in the market, some of these sold pretty quickly. At that price range, they would. You're going to see these numbers shift as we're coming into the fall, as we're coming out of the summer. So days on the market were pretty quick, but they're going to start diving up. So off season, the average days on market was like 76 days. We don't know that. And anyway, play with that too. And that gives you a little bit more insight on, you can actually hone in more exact to match your type of home to see what they're going for. So you'll actually get more accurate numbers with this. And it's a really good tool. All right. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And I go through all of this process as well as this up here. So I actually, this is my sanity check. I can see if I'm out of whack. If I got numbers here that are too low and they're not matching here, I can go back and adjust, find out what I'm doing wrong. And, but basically I end up going with my own comps in that price range. And I verify it against the other numbers I see here. It might be a little higher, might be a little lower, and I make the adjustments. Things I didn't get into, I haven't used it a lot lately, and that's Cloud CMA. And I'll tell you, I would go in and this is what I used in the past, what I've used it for. Cloud CMA actually will allow you to manually put in the comparables you want to use. So if you run your comps and you get a list of 3 or 4 properties that you're using in your personal comps, or 6 or 8, however many you got, you can actually put in the MLS numbers in the list and hit, and it will generate a beautiful report. Because it goes in, it not only prints out the comparable information, but it prints out all the pictures. And so it's really a nice presentation if you want, especially if you got a customer who thinks their home is valuable, but it's still laid out like it was in the 70s, with linoleum on the floor, and they're still using whatever they got on the counters. And you can show what other homes in the area are with, oh, look, this house is upgraded with granite tops and new tile and the whole thing, right? And then you can give them a better sense of reality when you've got to convince somebody. And you will. So you want to know the tools at hand. Cloud CMA is really a nice tool for presentation. And I've used that a couple of times. I don't use it to generate my CMAs. I do all of that. I plug my comparables in and I print it out. I've used that in the past. And then something I put in here, but I haven't used it at all. I just haven't had time, but I know a lot of people have it. You can go and set up a profile on HomeSnap. And there's a whole other set of tools there. You can actually, and that's through our matrix as well, through our MLS. So check out the HomeSnap. Okie doke. So did I really confuse everybody?
No, that was perfect. And is this Excel sheet on the American Google Drive?
No,
Just yours.
No, it's mine. And
Trademark.
How much
No.
is it for sale?
Hold on. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm going to do. And he knows that I've done this before.
You're sharing.
Just for attending, I'm just going to load it up here, and you can have it and
Look at that.
rearrange it and beautify it and make it your own.
Oh, it's Chris Holmes.
Didn't you see he was on his didgeridoo a minute ago? That thing that goes from one side to the other.
You saw me almost protecting my back. You saw me almost lose it, huh?
Just a little bit.
Oh, he's on his balance board. All right, so I uploaded the file. If you want to grab it before we disconnect, you're all set.
I got it. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and if, like I said, I've recorded. I actually recorded this. This is awesome. So I've recorded the whole session. I'll get that posted too. And if you have any questions, let me know. But this is pretty much my science. This is what I do.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, and Alan, can you hear me?
I can, Christiana, but I can't see you. The lights are off.
Oh, well, let me see what happened here.
It's all right, Christiana. What do you got?
Question, here you go. The amortization chart, where was that located?
Oh, yes, right. So real quick, I keep those handy. Finance. Amortization schedule. And there it is right there, amortization-calc.com. And the thing I liked about this is I could go back years and set my amortization to start as far back as I want to, and then run it forward and get my estimate like now. The other one that I use to accompany this one is this little guy here, national monthly average of mortgage rates. That's a little bit longer. A little bit longer pathway. mortgage-x.com/general. Oh, I'm not seeing this. I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. I'm sitting here bringing it up on my screen, explaining it to you, and I'm not even seeing it. So, all right, here we go. All right. So here's the mortgage rates. So this is a history, national monthly average mortgage rates. You can actually take a camera and take a photograph of that if you want. I'll give you a minute. Right, and then
I shared the link, Alan, for everyone.
and then the other one was the amortization calculator. Here it is, amortization-calc.com. And was there another one? I don't think so. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Those two.
Okay, one more question. Do you, which CMA do you use to email to a potential seller?
I don't.
You don't?
No. I set up a meeting and present it personally.
Okay,
You want-
and which one? Which one do
want-
you use?
Oh yeah, you're in the new class. We haven't gone over that yet. I will tell you that I only, hold on, let me go back here. Well, I can't pull up RPRs because it's giving me some kind of hassle. I will tell you that the only thing I bring is I print out, well, hold on, I show it this way. I think we just covered it, listing. So when I go to a listing appointment, which is week 7 for people who are in the new class, when I go to RPR and I print my seller's report, I print out your comps. That's it. That's all I bring with me. I don't bring out the charts and the graphs, and this is everything that was going on. I might bring a copy of the market conditions report, or I might just have that in my head. Because I don't want to overwhelm. Here's the thing, and I've learned this. I learned it before, and I got re-taught it when I was learning how to sell timeshare. But too much information will overwhelm people, and you want to just give them some basic information to let them know that your house is going to be on the market if we price it right about this long, and based on these houses that just sold recently and these couple that are on the market, this is the price range we want to be in. And then as you get to know them and you find out their sense of urgency, you might want to be on the higher end, right? Because it'll take a little bit longer to move, or you might want to be on the lower end because you want to be the first out of the gate, right? So, but I don't, none of this crap. I used to print out, the whole thing was like 80 something pages. I go down to Office Max with my little National Realtors card. For $20, I could get this printed double-sided and bound, pretty, but I never got a listing from it. But going with a folder and just saying, basically, here's the comps. There's 6 houses in the area just like yours that sold for, and here's the price range. And there's 3 more on the market that are here. And so that's our competition. This is where we want to be, my recommendation. You'd have the conversation. That's it. That's it. So that is pretty much all I bring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I might have that sheet that I have, I might have it. They won't understand all the numbers on it, but I'll have that other sheet, the calc sheet. I might have it with me, and I'll have numbers highlighted in it. Most likely the numbers I have highlighted will match the numbers I got from my comps. But up top, I'll have those, this is what my estimate is for your, what you have remaining in mortgage. Is that right? When we're considering what we want to net you. Oh yeah, that's cool. And you have that conversation. But for all of what we just went through, I just bring my own comps. This whole calc sheet thing, I think I've shown it once. But I got enough confidence in the customer that they would look at it and go, oh, right. So know your customer. Keep it simple. Keep it simple so that they can understand it. And And it's easy for you to explain. You don't have to support like, oh, what are these other 62 numbers you have on this sheet, right? Just keep it simple. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Anything else? All right. Well, that's our Think Tank Thursday this week. I hope you got a lot out of it, and
Yeah, that was perfect.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You are very welcome, and let me know. Look,
See you
I get
tomorrow.
a lot of people that send me stuff. It's like, hey, this is what I got for comps. Can you just do a sanity check? But what I showed you is pretty much the, you know, and even with all the other numbers, I'm getting a little bit more confident in just, these are my comps. I just go into RPR,
Yeah.
my own comp analysis on this is what sold recently, and then this is what's on the market now. And here we are. It's very rare, and every once in a while you get into a situation where the neighborhood is so well established, nobody sold a home in the last 5 to 7 years, or it's all new construction. And right, and they bought a house, and they're still got zone A down there. They're still building new houses, but they want to move out. So that's a different situation too. And I take those on a case by case, but otherwise you're good.
All right, perfect.
All right. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we had some people in here. Yeah, the home we did an open house for, we couldn't do comps. You can always do comps. It's just harder. Some of them are challenging. And oh yeah, got the link here. Thank you, Yogini. And you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for attending, and see y'all next week.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Well, some of you tomorrow.
Right.
Some of you who have class, I'll see tomorrow. For those with no class, I won't see you until next week.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Alan, I
Bye.
have 2 quick questions with my client.
Okay, Yogini, why don't you give me a call, and
Okay.
and we'll chat.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect. Thanks, Alan.
You're
Bye
welcome.
bye.
All right.